Welcome to this special edition of Reckless Speculation. We had to do this. A couple of huge breaking stories. Brandon Jane, Robbie Davis joining me. First, let's hit the NBA for just a quick moment. And I'll give my best synopsis of the situation. Kevin Durant follows Kyrie Irving to Brooklyn. Kyrie opts out now, probably ends up in Brooklyn 12 more months at max. He is basically left on an island by himself. Kevin Durant goes to the owner of the Brooklyn Nets today and demands a trade. Couple of possible destinations: Miami, who really don't have a lot of trade pieces. Kevin Durant owns a house there, but Phoenix. And proposal that's in the media is DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, Miles Bridges, and 2 first-round draft picks for Kevin Durant. Brandon Jane, what do you make of that situation?
No way Phoenix does that. I mean, Booker's their up and coming star. The whole reason that KD fits well in Phoenix is because of Booker. And Chris Paul's on his way out. He needs another, duo for the super team, and no chance that's happening. And this is going to get interesting to see because everyone's shooting for the moon for KD right now. And those are the top two destinations, Phoenix, Miami. But I mean, this is going to get a little interesting as far as what people are actually willing to give, and then you're going to, is KD left sitting there for another 12 months with the Nets because he can't get what he needs for his trade? So a lot to come out of this, and man, did did the Nets really screw this thing up, letting these three out of here?
Everything looked in place for the Nets. Robbie, you're kind of our NBA guy. Is in my head, Kevin Durant looks foolish for the moves he made 12 months ago, signing that huge contract. How do you read the situation, and how does Kevin Durant save his career at this point?
So a couple of things. This just goes to show the NBA more than any other league, the players have the power. A 4-year contract's not a 4-year contract. They can demand a trade. If I'm the Nets, though, first off, I'm looking back at. Do y'all remember when the Lakers kind of after Shaq left and Kobe was kind of playing by himself, and Kobe demanded a trade, and the Lakers said, "Wait, just bear with us. We'll get you talent. We'll change our team to fit you." If I'm the Nets, that's what I'm doing first. Hey, you want Kyrie gone? We'll get him out of here. You want so and so gone? We will shape it around you. You want a new coach? We'll do that. Other than that, though, and this is kind of why Kobe stayed in LA, is you have to give up a king's ransom to get him.
Yeah.
And so you're looking at Phoenix or Miami. If Phoenix has to give up Ayton and Booker and draft picks and that, KD's got to look at that and be like, well, I can't win there either. So, and like what's ironic about the whole thing is probably the team with the most assets that can keep the most talent is back in Golden State. But I don't think that would work. But they could give up Wiseman, Wiggins, draft picks, Poole. They could give all that up, get KD back, and they're the favorites again. But I don't think that will happen. But that's the most fitting thing to still win because, there's been talk about the Pelicans have a lot of assets. And as much as I love New Orleans, I don't know if I want to be an athlete in New Orleans. I don't want to be famous in New Orleans. I'd rather be just below the radar in New Orleans. A wild card, though, to me is, could the Hawks get in this? Could the Hawks they just had a trade. Do they have any pieces left? I don't know if he wants to play in Atlanta, but he played in Oklahoma City a long time. He's just both him and Kyrie are weird guys, and it's just like I don't get a feel for what they want. And Durant, I mean, he's won 2 championships with Steph. That's not much for a guy with his talent. And he's been on some loaded teams. Those Oklahoma City teams were loaded.
Yeah.
The funny Atlanta Trae Young posted the poop emoji just a minute ago and said, "Our league got real," and it did enough to make it real. And I don't know if the Hawks have got enough assets left. You're talking about having to move DeAndre Hunter and Jalen Johnson, and I've already traded 3 of their next 5 picks away. It would be tough for.
Wouldn't the Hawks like to go back 2 days and be like, if this news is breaking 2 days ago, we're holding on to everything?
With you there, but also Kevin Durant's 33, John Murray is 24. If you're building for a 8-9 year run, you've made the right.
Ask the Raptors and the Raptors fans, was it worth it for 8 months of Kawhi Leonard? It absolutely was.
I agree.
This is it's a double-edged sword here because KD wants to go to a team that can contend, and he needs to be a piece that can immediately make that team a favorite. And what the Nets are asking is to remove all the pieces that make that team good for KD. And it's going to be stalemate here. I mean, I just don't see him going to a team that immediately can contend because he's going to be the only player on that team. And to Robbie's point, I think in their best interest is to restructure the Nets around KD. That's their best option at this point.
Yeah, say, what do you want? We'll give it to you.
Yeah, we'll do whatever we can because
I don't know the Bucks roster all that much, but man, him and Giannis, with whoever you want to put around them, would be a formidable combo.
All right, we have to slide on from. You're right. We'll have to slide on from Kevin Durant because he jumped into this story today, but really this is a breaking, shocking occurrence in college football today. As much as Kevin Durant has dominated some of the news, out of the blue, first of all, I want to ask either one of you, did you have any inkling or any rumor? I mean, I'm a rumor hound when it comes to college football, and I heard nothing of this. Robbie, I'll start with you. You're the Twitter hound. Anything before it broke?
No, this is actually more surprising than last year when Oklahoma and Texas broke to the SEC. I did not see it coming, especially not today or at the end of June. No, this caught me by actually whenever it was text on our group chain, I thought it was fake. And then I started seeing it more and more throughout the day. And I was like, wow.
So, Brandon, it affects your conference, basically. The Big Ten and the Big Ten. I did follow up with a little research. The Big Ten Board of Presidents or Board of Governors already approved admitting UCLA, USC starting in 24. That's before Oklahoma and Texas technically get to the SEC. The Big 12 the Big 10 expands to California, adds to me the 2 primary. My buddy Rods was here. He might argue with me, but to me, it's all about USC and UCLA in that conference, and you get probably the best football program the Pac-12 has in USC and the best basketball program in UCLA, and you add it to a conference that is already arguably the second best conference in America. Did the Big Ten just put a death knell in the Pac-12, Brandon Jane?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Pac-12's done after this. That's pretty much their hype is USC, UCLA sometimes in football. But look, this came out of nowhere. None of us. I mean, we're on sports channels all day long, and there were no talks. And for the Board of Governors or whatever for the Big Ten to already approve this. This has been in talks for quite some time, and I would say the ball got rolling right after Texas and Oklahoma joined the SEC. This is where the stars start to align, and the NCAA is like, oh, what is going on here? Because this is about to be Power Five. We'll take our ball and we'll play our own way. And you're seeing it happen. And we talked about this several times. It's what it's coming down to. And, with this whole new NLI and the transfer portal, all this moving parts, I think it's wise for these conferences to do that and show that they do hold the power. And when it comes to these TV contracts and the money, you're dealing with the conference, not the NCAA.
Robbie, Brendan said Power Five, but is it Power Five? Is it Power Four? Is that the accurate term?
No, it's Power Two. But no, let me take a step back. Is this the biggest backstabbing in sports history? What the Big Ten just did to the Pac-12?
Pretty close.
Look, just last year they formed an alliance with the ACC and the Pac-12 and the Big Ten that they would not poach each other's members, that they would not come to the SEC, they would not let the SEC dominate. And then the Big Ten just said, just kidding. Hey, thanks USC, thanks UCLA. I happen to think UNC and Notre Dame are the next dominoes to fall. But yeah, this is just setting, like we all talked about it. We all said there's probably going to be a new super conference or two to battle it out. But this is going to mirror the AFC and the NFC in the NFL. It's going to be like the Big Ten is going to grab two more. The SEC is going to, my guess is UNC, Notre Dame go to the Big Ten, Clemson, Florida State or Miami go to the SEC. They form their conference or two divisions in their TV contract. Fox has the North, ESPN has the South, and that's that they're going to have their, like Brand said, they're taking their ball and saying, see ya, no more regulations, and we're getting all the TV money, all of it.
Is there room for a third conference in this, Robbie?
Why? Why would the Big Ten SEC allow it? Like, think about it. Why split the money three ways when you only have to split it two ways?
There's still a market though. You're gonna take the, second best or mediocre teams, and they could come together to form somewhat of a conference. Yeah, it's not going to be near what the power of these two would be, but I could see that because there's still some TV markets out there that could draw some attention. But man, this is wow.
If it was me, if I was the Big 12, the Pac-12, and the ACC is still sitting pretty because they haven't been rated yet. But I'm seriously thinking about I'm moving to the spring. I'm taking our product, if it's going to be from noon till midnight, 20, 25, whatever the number. If it's 20, that's 40 teams in the company. That's the NFL. That's more than the NFL, and that's a lot of TV that gets filled. You're struggling for airwaves.
Let's add. Let me put it this way: if you are, and I'm going to name the best of the rest: Baylor, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Kansas for basketball, Robbie.
Okay.
Oregon, Colorado, Stanford, Washington. I'm not sure that Texas Tech is not in that group. Are you saying to heck with all these other teams right now? Give me the best 6 teams left out west, and we're going to go rogue, and we're going to be the new Western 12.
Well, so to clarify, just one quick clarification. the NCAA owns the NCAA tournament. They do not own college football playoff. They don't own anything. So basketball and football are two separate money bags, if you will.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think if you're Utah, well, I think so. The Big 12 is in the best position to survive versus the Pac-12.
They've already added BYU, Cincinnati, Houston.
Yeah. So if you can get Utah and Oregon to come, I think, and if you want the Arizona schools, I think they can survive. If you're Stanford, you're Cal, man, you're in trouble because you're a rich fan base, but there's no actual fans. And so those essentially Ivy League West schools are in trouble. And then like Washington, you're up there in the corner, you're in a big market, but it's all changing so quick. So I do think the Big 12, and maybe they just take all the leftovers and say we're doing a West Coast, Texas to West Coast division and see if anyone picks it up. But the Pac-12 with USC, with UCLA had such a hard time. Maybe it was mismanaged, but they had a hard time getting on TV.
Robbie, I want to come back to that, but Brandon, one question: as a Big Ten fan, and the first reaction I got from the Big Ten group was, "We'll see UCLA or USC in Madison, Wisconsin in November." How is Ann Arbor, Michigan going to feel loading up their team in November and going and playing in 90-degree weather in LA? This is really a mismatched climate environment for football.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie put out a picture of the map earlier, and
But it's
it is. It's so true. And there's a learning curve here. Once they do commit, I mean that's up to the staff, and I mean half these kids come from all over the country, different climates anyway. So I mean it's just a matter of acclimating your body and getting the right training for it. So yeah, I could see a little bit of a learning curve, but overall, I mean I really don't see a huge effect that's gonna. I mean, you're talking about some of the best coaches in college football, so I mean they'll have their teams prepared.
Well, and don't get it twisted. The climates in the Pac-12 are way different. Southern California versus Utah versus Seattle versus Oregon. Hey, if you play in Palo Alto in early August, it's cold. Like those climates are diverse. And I mean, it's hot in the Midwest. I don't take much. I think more so travel. I think really what you're going to see is winter sports, basketball, those kind of things where I mean, if you're playing in LA and you have a 4-game road trip, and you're going all the way on the East Coast, coming back for a homestand, I think that's going to be more problematic than football.
Sure.
Robbie, is Oregon the best program that's left out of this right now, other than Notre Dame, who could be in a conference if they wanted to be?
Yeah, well, this is the biggest surprise to me is how, if they were blindsided, which you presumably think they were, how does Nike get blindsided in all this? Like, how does all these teams have Nike connections? How does no one leak to Nike? This is about to go down and Oregon's about to be left out. That's what that's the secretive nature of this and how they kept it all together. That's the most impressive thing that I can think of is just Nike, the biggest sports company in the world.
You're right.
And the founder is that the master donor at a university that this affects greatly, and they didn't know.
Yeah. Well, you look at today's society and how instantaneous something gets out there with social media and everything else. And nobody heard about this. I mean, I can imagine that Nike didn't either. This was behind closed doors. There were 3 or 4 guys signing contracts or making deals, doing whatever, and that was it until they broke it. And
it almost thinks like it was just Warren, Mr. Warren, for the Big Ten commissioner, and UCLA and USC, just like the president's like in like this one private room, and he said, if y'all agree, I'll get my guys to sign off on it. It makes too much sense not to.
All right, a couple of questions. I want to fire at you first, Brendan. As a Big Ten fan, how do you feel about maybe annual trips to LA? And did your conference get to the SEC level in football today?
Yet to be determined. We'll see. The conference is pretty strong. I think we've had some years where we were a little bit better than the SEC, and as of latter, the SEC has been quite a bit better than us. But yeah, I mean, it definitely helps. I mean, two big teams, big market teams. Recruiting is going to change for all aspects here. Now
Big
you're going to have
roadmap into LA.
Right, which some of the big school, Michigan, Ohio State, we've always recruited on the West Coast, and that's no secret there. But now you're going to start seeing Nebraska,
Wisconsin, those kind of
schools, Iowa, starting to recruit on the West Coast, and vice versa. They're going to get some of these corn-fed guys from Wisconsin to go out to USC. So it definitely changes the dynamic of the recruiting aspect, but yeah, overall, it definitely makes us a better conference. They're more relevant teams, big market teams, and I think the talent will flock to them, especially with money and NIL deals.
In recruiting, real quick, I think this almost puts a death knell in UCLA's recruiting. And what I mean by that is UCLA, when they're good, their stadium's empty. It's going to be an away game full of Big Ten teams at their home stadium. And they're going to go to Ohio State and see a college, like their only college football atmospheres is at Oregon and at USC. They're going to go to the Horseshoe and be like, oh my God, this is amazing. They're going to go to Madison, Wisconsin, the Big House, Penn State. These are amazing atmospheres. And we play in front of a high school stadium. A high school crowd in a $100,000 stadium, 100,000 seat stadium. I don't think this is a good move for UCLA.
Let's be honest, though. UCLA didn't jump on the
Money-wise.
train for football. It is strictly basketball with UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, at the same point, Robbie, the SEC brought Missouri in as a basketball school, and they played in 2 SEC championship games in their first 2 years, which was enough. But I mean, I value UCLA. You tell me I'm going to see UCLA and Michigan every year on the hardwood. As a basketball fan, I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
as an SEC fan, was your first thought, well, it's time for us to move again?
No, not necessarily. My thought was, this is where it's going. And I just think it's too natural to grab Clemson and Florida State and Miami. I don't think the SEC needed to go out to the West Coast to grab any schools. It just, to me, I think the SEC there's just too. I think it's just too easy pickings for us, for the SEC, because let's call a spade a spade. The Big Ten has academic requirements. They have academic standards. And so, like, Clemson's never going to be on the Big Ten's radar. That's why UNC and Notre Dame would probably go to the Big Ten. The SEC is a sports conference. And so, yeah, no, I think it's definitely like, look, let's figure out what number we're going to set on. So, like, each of them are at 16 now. So are we staying there? Are we going to 18, 20? What's a gentleman's agreement of what does this look? I think 16 each. That's the AFC, NFC. That's perfect, but it would suck for Clemson, Florida State, Miami to be left out of this thing.
I don't know if the SEC doesn't value other teams more than Florida State and Miami. Maybe Miami for South Florida, but I think we overlook Virginia Tech and North Carolina State that have untapped SEC markets. Maybe you end up with something we didn't think of. Maybe you end up with Miami, Clemson, North Carolina State, and Virginia Tech, and Florida State ends up as the odd man out. And it's possible at this point.
If I'm Florida State and or Miami, yeah, I'm kind of panicking at this moment because one of them is going to be left holding the bag.
I agree. One of those schools in Florida is going to end up in, and I think since and maybe it's just me as an SEC fan, since Florida State basically thumbed its nose at the SEC in '92, I think Miami would be given the first opportunity. I'll put it that way. All right, guys. And we're going to try to limit this to 30 minutes. So I want to get through a couple of things. A Rose Bowl ramification has always been the granddaddy of all games, the biggest bowl game of the year. I know it has a BCS tie-in now or a championship playoff tie-in, but there's going to be no Big Ten versus Pac-12 in my head after today's action. Does the Rose Bowl go scrambling for a new permanent partner outside of the Pac-12?
What, the SEC? What do you like?
Where are you going to go?
Yeah, we're getting down. Like I said, initially we all thought this could be a Power 5 conference thing, and I did state that earlier. But you guys are right. It's to Power 2, possibly 3. I think they'll adapt. I mean, that's a great stadium. It's a staple. Things are very malleable right now, and we've got to understand that. So those big places, big staples like that are not going to be left out, especially being ties with USC and UCLA. So,
Robbie,
so the Rose Bowl aspect of this could be the first or second biggest backstabbing in sports history. I would love to be able to look at this contract that UCLA has with the Rose Bowl, because the Rose Bowl is owned by the city of Pasadena. UCLA rents it. If I own the Rose Bowl, I'd kick UCLA the hell out and be like, go find your own stadium.
Yeah, but then what's UCLA or what's the Rose Bowl gonna do? Just,
host the Rose Bowl.
That's it all year.
They host 7 UCLA games. Besides that, and the gate's not great. They make money off the Rose Bowl, and
yeah, probably make enough to keep the lights on. But
I'm sure it's built in 1940. It's paid for.
I don't see that place dying in this situation.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I'd lease it out to the Chargers. I'd say. I would just be like, you just left, because you killed the Rose Bowl. It's not going to be Big Ten versus Pac-12 anymore.
Right.
It's just not.
No.
Robbie, we'll come to you the next question. Who are the players in the next round? You threw a couple of names out. Is that your Notre Dame has to align now or be left out? Is that true?
They've never aligned before.
It's never done this before. We've said a lot of nevers. Could you ever imagine USC and UCLA flying to Rutgers every year? No, this move today really shaped that. Yeah, I can't say it enough. It's coming. It's the SEC and the Big Ten. They're taking. If you're ESPN, why are you paying for Arizona versus Arizona State? With all due respect to those teams, it comes on at 10 o'clock at night on the East Coast. No, pay more to keep the Big Ten and the SEC. It just doesn't make financial sense anymore. Maybe Amazon or Apple or Google picks up these other conferences, but no, Notre Dame's got to go into one, and the Big Ten makes too much sense.
I agree.
Who is Oregon, Notre Dame, Oregon, right now are setting? Who's the team we're not talking about that brings something to the table that we keep going, that needs somewhere logically other than where they're at now? Is it
Well,
Baylor? Is it Oklahoma State? Is it
well,
Washington?
wait. So BYU is in the Big 12 now.
Yes.
Okay, so BYU has a huge fan base. But yeah, you look at Baylor, TCU, Houston, who I thought just went into a good situation. Now that may have changed. Boise, but I mean, Oregon and Washington are the big fish, but they're up there all by themselves.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think so. Like, the UCLA president said, "Yeah, we know the travel is going to be a lot, but we've got a lot more money now to travel, and so essentially, yeah, we're flying charter, we're good."
Yeah.
But
The
Baylor traveling to Seattle or to Eugene, that TV region is not going to be able to pay for that. They're going to be flying commercial, and that's just too geographically divided for that, what that product's going to be.
Am I wrong to think that Utah is an asset to someone if you can find it? I mean, Utah seems like a full stadium, good basketball, good football. Or is it the fact that it's Utah that hurts them? No TV market.
I don't see where they fit in, to be honest. I mean, it's a tough one, but like I said, that's why I feel there has to be some type of third kind of conference with these teams getting left out. But to Robbie's point, it's going to pose another geographical problem, traveling all over the country to try and play games. So, man, I have no answers right now. It's crazy, and it's also exciting at the same time.
So I do think you could sell this kind of group: Oregon, Washington, Utah, BYU, Colorado, Arizona State, Baylor, TCU, Houston,
Texas Tech,
and who am I missing?
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. So that's 12. I think you could sell that if you want to add Oregon State and Washington State for 14.
And
That's
then you
a
got
lot.
Kansas and Kansas State. You're at 16 with them.
Yeah, so maybe that's feasible.
Comment from Kong, and I agree. It's all about the TV marking and Notre Dame from here. That's the next shoe to follow. And we could go an hour on this, but we're at our 30-minute mark. And I know you both have other notes. So Robbie Davis, just going to let you free fling, and just wrap it up for yourself. And then Brandon, put your thoughts together, and we'll come to you for like almost a closing statement just on this subject.
Well, so minds can be changed. I came in today thinking it's just two, but after us talking and kind of laying it out, it still could be a power four. I'm still leaning toward a power two, but I could see that West Coast kind of Texas model at least working for four, and then you have your 14 playoff. I don't think it's going to happen, but I could definitely see it, or at least for a year or two.
Not to interrupt you, but what if this model was an 8-team playoff and 2 or 4 or 5 or 6 of the bids go to the Big Ten, the SEC, and then 1 out west and maybe 2 to the ACC? That's the only way that works, kind of.
Yeah, I mean the Pac-12 hasn't made the playoffs in a while, anyways, and so now I'm flipping back the other way. I'm so confused on this, on if they can survive or not. I think I'm going back to my original thing. They can't. I think it's just going to be 2.
All right, Robbie.
Those are my final thoughts of just the whole day I've been thinking about this.
We both lived in Southern California, and Jane, I'm coming straight to you. When I was out there, I could much more enjoy college football because the timing made sense. I cannot stay up till midnight every Saturday night to watch college football all day long, and then the first game kicks off on the West Coast at midnight. The time zone really doesn't help them.
No, it doesn't. And that's been the whole issue with the Pac-12 network is you can't get enough eyeballs to sell it. And that's just nature of the time zones and what we live in. There's a reason, LA and New York are the two biggest markets, but if you're going to put something on television, you put it on for New York because you can still grab LA if it's on New York time. If it's on LA time, you lose New York. And so that's what it's all about.
100% of the time. It's weird watching TV. Coming from the East Coast going West Coast, it was so weird to me to wake up on a Saturday morning and the early baseball scores were already coming in.
Mm-hmm.
East Coast baseball was done by the time I got out of bed. Brandon Chain, the Big Ten guy, the winner today in all this is the Big Ten Conference.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Again, it solidifies what we've been talking about, I don't know, for at least 8-10 months now about how college football is changing. NCAA's power is pretty much non-existent. It was a counter move to the SEC. SEC is getting all their stuff together and forming their super conference, and the Big Ten will not be left behind. So that's kind of what we're seeing right now. And I just can't believe how quiet it was and how this wasn't broke prior to the actual announcement of it. So well done by all parties involved there, because to keep something quiet right now in these day and times, it's impossible. So
the Big Ten TV contracts coming up with Fox, they're spitting out NFL numbers this go around.
They know what they're doing.
Kong, Notre Dame will be forced to join the Big Ten. We follow that due to all the rivalries. And interesting, Stanford. What happens with Stanford? All right, guys, I'm gonna close this out with winners and losers today. Winner, Big Ten Conference. We all agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Loser, UCLA football becomes, to me in my head, it is now a 4-8 program. It's a lower level program now. It takes a step back.
It's going to be between them and the Rutgers for last place every year. So
yeah,
maybe Rutgers won't finish last.
Winner, USC football program, who has struggled, I think, with finding competition out west when it came, time to play. Robbie, USC, I think, is going to be right there.
Biggest winners to me are Iowa, Illinois, Indiana. Y'all are just now your cash cow just got fatter and more of a money printer. You don't have to be good at anything. Just if you're Iowa, if you're Kurt Ferentz, just keep going 8-4 and just keep cashing those checks, man.
And the funny thing about it, Iowa signed a 5-star lineman today, head up against Alabama. Iowa, it's kind of strange. Iowa may be the big winner in all this when it's all done. One question. We love our buddy Raj, who has been the defender of the Pac-12. And we all kind of love you, Raj, but we've always kind of looked at him and went, yeah, we're not going to argue this point because Raj is a USC Pac-12 guy. Did we get exposed to how weak the Pac-12 was standing today?
I think we all knew that.
Yeah.
Well, the other loser of the day is Bill Walton and his Conference of Champions logo.
Good point.
Yeah, it's the Conference of Nobodies now.
Yeah. It's going to be so weird. Maybe we'll get the guys off from the Easy Speak up in Lyon, Michigan, to come on with us next week. And
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Interested
Well, yeah.
to hear.
I foresee a lot of news breaking between this week and next Wednesday when we're on again. Things are going to move fast, I think, from now on. Everyone's in panic.
We'll have a 90-minute show next Wednesday for sure.
Is there any does this force the SEC to get Texas and Oklahoma out of their contract a little bit faster? Do they pay the $30 million for the next 2 years to get?
I don't know if they panic on it.
No, I think the SEC wants to see. It's kind of like Patrick Mahomes signing his contract. They want to see what the Big Ten signs first, and then they come to the negotiating table about, well, they set the bar, we're going to higher than the Big 12. It's going to be back and forth. So I think the SEC takes it slow. They're going to try to negotiate with other schools, but for the TV wise, now they wait and see what Fox pays the Big Ten.
Chess, not checkers.
Yeah. Guys, I got to say something real fast, and we'll call it a night. We've went overboard. In the last 24 hours, we've had 40,000 visitors to RiverCity-Media.
Wow. Awesome.
4,000 visitors have read our post, watched our videos, interacted with us. A lot of that's credited to a viral story of local sports, of the Chattanooga Lookouts getting a new stadium. But even the show went nuts. And it was like, once we were going kind of viral, everything we put out went viral. And I just want to, those people that see this, please like and follow us. We are now 31 people from monetizing this program on Facebook. 31 more people follow and like us on Facebook. We are now, after 1 year, going to be financially obligated to Facebook to pay us before. And are we going to get rich, folks? No. It's pennies on the dollars for production costs, but it would be nice that we could put that money back into the program. Please like, please follow, please share us. I can't believe we're here, guys. We are 31 people from being a red blue check mark verified paying monetary site on Facebook.
Does that mean I'm going to get us kicked off as soon as we get verified?
Yes.
Probably years we made it.
You're going to have to get better at that mute button.
Hey, I'm just going to have electricity paid.
No light problems tonight.
For Robbie Davis, RFD24 on Twitter, for Brandon Chain, we are RiverCity-Media. Thank each and every one of you who has supported us the last 24 hours. You will never know what it means to three guys that make programming in their living room. It doesn't say ESPN beside us. We do it because we care and we love it, and we're here to inform you. And you know what? You take time to listen to us, so thank you very much.
And tell 31 of your friends to watch.
Tell 31, like and follow RiverCity-Media on Facebook. Good night.